Hi everyone, this is Mr. Takis at Pierce. I'm here with Mr. Gross and Miss Albrecht, and also Brian Rowland, one of the tour consultants for Student Adventures. And we're gonna really quickly go over the nuts and bolts of our Chicago trip. We'll talk about the itinerary, we'll talk about the expectations, just things what people need to bring and everything. And when we are finished, we'll leave a QR code and the link for everybody to ask questions, which we'll get back to as soon as we are able to do it. So really quickly, if we could, let's go ahead and start here. So first, really quickly here, let's discuss a couple things. We should go back to the beginning. I went to the wrong one. Oops. So yes, our trip for next week, in the 14th and 15th, the Friday and Saturday. So first off, yeah, we've got the Friday and Saturday for the trip here, and the hotel we'll be staying at is the Holiday Inn in Oak Brook Terrace, Illinois, a little bit on the outskirts of Chicago. All this Eastern Standard Time. So the morning of, a couple details we want to make sure we get through. Band and orchestra, you should come in uniform and bring your change of clothes to change in after we're done performing, but wear your uniform on the bus to make things easier. The report time in front of Pierce is 4:30 in the morning. Yes, we know it is early, but again, there's a time change both ways too. And also just a quick note, please do not park on Kercheval in front of Pierce or defer, just to make things easier for bus traffic and everything. We want to make sure we have as much space there as possible. And then at 5 a.m. we are out the door and hitting the road. So and then as we get into Chicago, we switch over to Central Time. Obviously, 10 a.m. is well about the time that we're going to get to the festivals of music performance. All the groups have different performance times. You'll be able to see these specifically in the itinerary. I think the orchestra plays at 11, the band plays at 12:30, and the choir is at 2:45, I believe. We'll be departing the festival site a little bit before 4 p.m. We'll have dinner at Giordano's at 5:30. We'll do a group photo at Buckingham Fountain around 6:45, and then we'll head down to Piper's Alley where the comedy sports performance is. Then after that is done, we'll head back to the hotel and we will check in. We have nighttime security from 10:30 p.m. to 5 a.m. as well. So that's for Friday, and then when we get to Saturday, also it's just the lights out at 10 p.m., 10:30 p.m. We want to make sure people are nice and rested for the next day. For Saturday. I'm sorry, Ms. Albrecht, did you want to interject? Did I miss anything or?
Nope, I think we're good.
Great. So we've got 7 a.m. breakfast in the hotel. The checkout's going to take place around 8 a.m. and we'll hopefully be out the door by about 8:15. We'll head downtown, do the Tilt 360 at the Hancock Center. And then we've got some time to do some shopping and everything. And then we will head to grab lunch at Navy Pier at about 12:45. There's a $15 cash allowance for that. And speaking of that, I should add too, there will be a breakfast stop for fast food on the morning and Friday. And we will need to make sure students need to make sure they have money for that. That's something we've historically done, but people just have to be ready to, if they want to purchase breakfast, they can. Or if they'd rather, bring breakfast for the bus, they can too, as long as we'll get the food restrictions a little bit as we get further on. After we're done with Navy Pier, head to Millennium Park to the Bean and everything, all the fun stuff there. And then we'll start to head back around 2:35. We'll have another cash allowance on the way home. I believe the stop is in Paw Paw in Southwest Michigan. And the approximate return time is to 10 p.m. at Pierce. So those are our that's our 2-day itinerary. Now, stuff we should bring, just a few things for all students are aware. Number one, snacks and water are okay, although we're gonna say again, please no snacks with nuts or beverages with sugar. A luggage, you can do one piece store into the bus, just the one. I know choir also has their garment bag as well. The buses are pretty full, so again, make sure everything that you have has your name and address on it. Small instruments like flute, oboes, and clarinets, those should be carried on the bus. Everything else is going to go underneath. So yeah, label with name, instruments, and stuff. And next, medication. All medication should be given to chaperones in a Ziploc bag with names and instructions on it. That should be done on Friday morning before we leave. And also some instructions I think would help if they are necessary. Clothes and shoes, a couple things. Again, we talk about band org students, make sure you come dressed in uniform. Choir, you're going to bring your uniform labeled in the garment bag. Miss Albrecht, anything else about their uniform specifically, or?
Find it this week, not next week. Okay, and make sure it's not in their locker in the ball.
Yeah.
And make sure they have shoes in there with that because sometimes they forget to pack those. But we'll put them in a pile under the bus all together and make sure their name is still on it. They were all in labeled garment bags. Just make sure that that's not in their locker in a ball.
Hmm. The Pierce dress code applies. I mean, be ready for all types of weather. Make sure you've got comfortable walking shoes because we will be moving quite a bit. Um, again, I should say too, you can wear any school appropriate casual clothes on Saturday. Plastic bag for dirty clothes. And again, this, by the way, all this is what we're reading, everybody, you're going to have in a handout that will be emailed out as well. Moving on, some money. Again, we'll need money for Friday breakfast. We'll do a fast food stop. The other meals are paid. I should say too, again, don't bring large amounts of money. You might want to bring a small amount of spending cash for shopping. Just parents be aware that any money that you send is probably going to get spent. So that's for that. Anyways, I want to make sure I put that one out there as well. And then personal items, again, if you know your roommates, which obviously you do at this point, maybe coordinate things like hair dryers and stuff that you bring. I know Miss Albrecht has a rule for don't share makeup. Is that accurate?
Correct.
Please do not share makeup. If we're contacts, bring your glasses. Everyone needs to have something to keep track of time, whether it's a watch or your phone on you, and also keep your phone charged. And that's my last point also was do not share makeup. So yes, I want to make sure I remember you saying that every single year. So I'll turn it over to you next, and we will discuss I believe the bus guidelines. So Miss Albrecht, I will turn it over to you.
Yeah, the kids are going to ask you for money and oh, I need it for food. Really, the only meal they need to buy is on their own that we are not providing the cash for is that one breakfast. And yes, whatever money you give them, they will spend. Somebody asked me, do we need to spend all of our lunch money on lunch? Can we use it for what? No, they don't have to. They're welcome to pack their own food. If your child has specific food allergies, contact your teacher. I know of a few for music. We've already talked about bringing a cooler if you want with like your own specific food that you can pack whatever bars or supplement you want. I'm going to suggest send them water bottle. Try not to send pop. I don't want any pop bottles, no sugar bottles of pop. I will take them away. Adults, you can have your coffee. That is okay. You're an adult. Also bring their chargers. The Wi-Fi's on the bus is pretty much, I've never had a really solid Wi-Fi on the bus. It's not going to work. So if you have data issues, I suggest you download the movie before you get them on the bus. My kids, like last at Choral Festival, like to tell the truckers to do that. We're not doing that anymore. It's really annoying. So don't wave at vehicles. We're going to have everybody pick up trash as their ticket on the way out of the bus. So they have to clean up their mess. We're going to check around them. You don't have to sit with them on the bus. But chaperones, we will give you any tickets we have for our activities. Cash, we'll give them to you to give to your kids. Don't give them to them till right before you go in because you know they'll lose them. Okay, go ahead, Chris. Yeah, no sugar, no sugar. No sugar. And no lying on the floor either. They don't really need a pillow either. They'll be fine without it. Go ahead, Chris.
Yeah.
Girls sit with girls, boys sit with boys. We stay seated. If they continually get up or are climbing around, then they have to come sit with me at the front of the bus. I deal with motion sickness. I sit at the front. If you want to sit on the back, you sit wherever you want with your kids, wherever they are. But we do try to keep girls on one side, boys on the other, and away from not walking around, standing up, and all that. Go ahead, Chris. Yeah, something to do. Keep it going.
Yeah.
Whatever movies they're watching on their iPads need to be kid appropriate. You can't be showing a horror flick or whatever inappropriate movie that other people can see if it's a bigger screen. So make sure that that's appropriate. If you want to send some DVDs, feel free to do that. That are kid appropriate. Parents always pick the movie for the bus and we'll share back and forth. Parents, there are two buses, three groups going. There's a band bus, orchestra bus, and the choir kids are split in between the buses. We're grouping chaperones with their kids on that bus. You might not know yet who your kids are, but you will. I can email home who's assigned with this. I'll attach it with this so you can look and see who your child's chaperone is. Some of them might be shared between groups, but like chaperones, you can expect maybe 7 to 8 kids per chaperone. Depending on how many per group, at least from my classes, I have one chaperone per 7 or 8 kids. Okay, Chris.
Yeah, we talked about that, and yeah, that's
Yep. And chaperones, they do kind of get crabby, especially by that nighttime. They might start to argue. Try to work out arguments you can between yourselves. Worst case scenario, and this hasn't happened in years, a student might have a fight with a friend, and I'm happy to come work it out. You'll have our room numbers. You'll have our cell phone numbers. We'll gather your cell phone numbers on the bus if we don't have them already. Try to work it out. If you can't, and let's say it's going on, we have an issue at nighttime. Worst case, if we'll have two of the kids move with a chaperone, and that other chaperone in that room would switch to be in the kid room. So we'll have one chaperone and two kids per room. But that hasn't happened in years. Um, with our kids, we don't expect any problems. They're really good kids. Musicians generally are. And so they'll be exhausted. And I think James will go over all the behavior stuff next.
mhm.
Okay. Students are to stay with their chaperone at all times. Use common sense. Courteous behavior, just common courtesy to everyone is expected. Starting with the bus drivers, the chaperones, the festival workers, the waiters, waitresses, all the hotel staff. I don't know if there's a bullet point here, Mr. Tagus, about hotel.
I mean, we're I think there's a little bit later, but yeah, we'll get to it. So for sure.
Okay. Pierce code of conduct and the dress code applies, certainly. Yeah. You're just going to stay in your room the whole time. You're not going to leave your room. You never need to go get ice. You're not going to go in anyone else's room ever. You're going to call your chaperone to take you down to breakfast, to take you back to your room.
Yeah.
And then another important thing about the hotel, yeah, this next bullet point, there are other paying guests that are staying there to enjoy a quiet evening or a quiet morning. So we just need to show common courtesy to everyone. And again, you can get your medication distributed from your chaperone.
Hey, James, can I jump in?
Yeah.
Parents, chaperones, be sure your room is awake. When they say we need to get up at a specific time, if they're not answering the phone, you got to go down there. Usually they're up, but once in a while you have that one room and you might know who they are that need to be woken up in person, and go get them. Make sure they are at breakfast with you. We give you their keys. You're welcome to keep their keys if you like. They don't need to be leaving the room, period. So if you want to keep their keys, feel free. Sorry, James.
All right. And we're going on this trip to do our best at the festival, and we need to get a lot of rest.
I also recommend they plan ahead. Like if there 4 people need to shower, have 2 maybe shower at night, 2 maybe shower in the morning. If they're like all skeezed out, or I don't know the word that you want to use about sharing a bed with somebody else, I tell them one person takes the sheet and the blanket. You make your own like sleeping bag. The other person gets a sheet and a comforter. Make your own sleeping bag. No one sleeps on the couch. If they're on their phones late at night and we hear them, I'm going to take the phone late at night. But I'll have them text you to let them know that I have it overnight. But I don't expect that to be the problem.
I think that's all the big stuff as far as expectations go. And again, if there's any questions here, I just click the link to the Google survey, and I should add that link as well. So first of all, there's a QR code there if you want to scan to it from your phone. But this link will be sent out via email. It's going to be posted in the video description when I post this video to YouTube. But yeah, and if you have any questions, you'll be able to ask. Just make sure you let us know. I mean, the form is really, really easy to fill out, and we will try to make sure we answer all questions to you by Monday next week. So that should cover just about everything.
Chris,
Yeah.
One last thing, on the way home on Saturday at about 9:30, 9:45, we are going to text you parents and we're going to say, "Hey everybody, we're about 20 minutes away. Be sure you are there to pick up your kids. We don't want to, I mean, in the past we've had to find like parents to come get them. They're at a show or something. We will text you, have them text you and say, "Hey, we are at this point on 94.
We try and give about a half
Be-
hour warning or so. Yeah. Just to
yeah.
say, yeah, this is-
Don't block where the buses need to park as well, because that
yeah,
helps us get them off. We'll be able to bring the instruments inside that night
we should
and
be
as
able
well,
to. Yeah.
and the costumes. I'm going to collect all the costumes that night and bring them inside, and that way they're turned in. I don't have to collect them later. Spring concert, we'll wear something else like we did last year.
Yeah, and parking again, just I mean, you should parking in front of we usually park in front of Pierce itself. So like on the other side in front of Defer, I don't think it'll be a big deal, but the whole front of Pierce needs to be completely clear. So I think that is all the big stuff. Mr. Gross, Miss Albrecht, anything else that we didn't get to? Okay. Well, in that case, Brian, I'm gonna turn it over to you for a quick second. Anything else that you have to that you want to add before we finish up?
Real quick, just to remind everybody, you mentioned about the cell phones on the bus and power. There should be power outlets on the buses because you're using Trinity buses. They've had power outlets on all the buses so far this year. So if they need to charge their phones or iPads on en route, they should have power available. And then just so everybody's aware, I'm Brian Rowland. I'm a retired band director and I work for Student Adventures and I'm their performance specialist. So if you ever need anything, questions from Student Adventures, please feel free to contact me. It's just brian@studentadventures.org.
Brian, do you mind if I put that in the email to the parents as well?
Sure,
I'll
not a
make sure
problem.
I do that. No, I'm grateful. I've known Brian for what 17, 18 years now since I started teaching, and I'm happy that he's gonna be here with us. So, or not on the trip with us, but like kind of helping facilitate all of this. And I think that is one more thing, by the way, just while we're talking about phones and charging, please make sure cell phones get a full charge Friday night, because we are walking around Chicago a lot. We have had instances in the past where a student's phone battery died and we weren't able to get a hold of them, and like we want to make sure that we just again make sure we charge phones. So that's anyways.
Kids ask and they're concerned. We are together the whole time. So while you might be like with a chaperone group for something, we eat together, we go to the performances together, we get to watch each other. Yes, family can come watch the performances. They're the only time that we're really not together is for about 7 hours in the room. Other than that, we'll always be together. It's a fabulous trip. Kids will have a great time. Chaperones, there's no drinking or anything on the trip. I forgot about that at restaurants and stuff. You have to save your while you may want a glass of wine, wait till you get home.
Well, I think that's all we got. So again, look for the email that's going to come out with and it'll have the links to the questions and the stuff the documents we used tonight. And yeah, stay tuned, and we're looking forward to seeing everybody next week. Should be a lot of fun. So anyway,
Great, thanks.
we'll see you there.